Hello and welcome back to the Havre 7 Foot Manager. It has been about a week, probably slightly over a week now, judging by when I actually put this out. We are back with a very important first versus second clash to Caen. We are away from home as well, just making that a little bit harder. I'll show you what happened in the meantime. Now, I think we left it at the 3-0 win with the JSO, which was a very decent win to be fair. We followed up with a 1-0 win over Grenoble, which we were, well, both lucky and not lucky at the same time. The stats show that we should have won, but lucky to get it late, especially after missing a penalty. I thought it would be one of those games where you do dominate and really should have scored, but don't end up. We just managed to sneak the 1-0 win, which was very important. And then, well, we got something happened to us, which essentially in the community is called being FM'd. Home to bottom of the league, completely outdo them on stats. Yet you come out with a 2-1 loss. I mean, everyone's experienced it. It pretty much happens on every save, at least at one point. Everyone's dealt with it, which kind of takes away the anger from it because you're so used to it happening, but it's still completely not acceptable, really, especially with the position we're in. And then follow that up with a 0-0 draw with Troyes. Yeah, really not kind of a great result either, especially as, again, we do dominate on stats. They only have one shot on target. Defensively, again, we were great, and you can see as we followed this up with a 3-0 win and a 2-0 win. Defensively, we have been on the money for months now, pretty much since December, where we had an entire month of not conceding. Only conceded 1 in January, only conceded 1 in February. Besides that game against Dunkirk, which I guess is the French equivalent of the English Dunkirk. Kept 2 more shutouts in March and have started April with 1. Yeah, the 3-0 win against Pau was very good. Tiare was back in the goals, as well as Pite. And then speaking of Pite, he does get a brace in a 2-0 win over Niort. Something we did do in that time after suffering those, well, the loss and the draw to Dunkirk and Troyes was slightly tweak the tactics, as we'll see before we go into this game against Caen, where now it's a bit kind of meant to be reminiscent of Klopp's yellow wall that he kind of formed in Dortmund back when he won a league over there. It's meant to be more kind of modelled off their kind of gegenpress, which is a bit, well, rather narrow, but also very direct and high tempo. It's kind of just quickly bang, chuck up the pitch, get the ball in the box. And it's meant to be more disciplined, not exactly expressive. You're meant to have specific jobs to do offensively. And yeah, you're supposed to execute those. As you'd expect from a gegenpress, of course, you're counter-pressing after you've lost it. And when you win it back, you are supposed to break forward as quickly as possible, especially with it being direct, as we see again here. And out of possession is a bit different. The line is still high, but the actual forward line is a bit more standard to kind of, I guess, compress the pitch so there's less kind of ground to cover when you are pressing them. But the marking's still tight. The pressing is extremely urgent, especially, I guess, with the kind of condensing the play into a shorter kind of area of the pitch. It's meant to be even more urgent. And supposedly the opposition is supposed to be forced inside, I guess, towards where you have more players, as we now have CDMs instead of centre mids, which has worked okay in those last 2 games, and hopefully it works again here in this very important game away to Caen. First versus second. We're going with a basically full-strength side. We'll just throw Abdelli onto the bench. He's probably not quite ready to start, but he may feature in at cam if Bonnet is not performing. So yeah, hopefully this does work in this very important game against Caen. They do have a corner here, which hopefully we can clear. We're not able to. It is pinging around in the box. I think there was a block and a save in there. We do survive the corner. Maybe break forward ourselves, but I imagine the highlight will end as we probably get slide off for a throw-in. It's, yeah, well, I say an early throw. It's about halfway through the half before anything happened, but they have survived that. But they do have the ball again as they look to go down the left-hand side, but it goes straight to Hughes. He does get the clearance, but kind of rashly gives it straight back to them. They do play a decent through ball there, but the shot is rather rash, and that goes off for a goal kick. We will encourage them again. Press this guy. Auxerre currently 1-1 with Valenciennes, which is something to keep an eye on. I will say as well, as we're probably going to go towards half-time with no further highlights. Oh no, one last one, and hopefully we can get this clear. So not a time we want to concede. I think that it wasn't a save, okay, it just skims the bar. This is actually the same situation we were in when I played this game literally about 10 minutes ago, I did forget to put the sound on. We did end up drawing it 1-1 in the end, and we were 0-0 at half time, so it does seem to follow the same vein right now. Possession-wise, we are doing worse than what I was doing in the last time I tried it 10 minutes ago, and equally, I think they've had more shots. We only had one when I just did it beforehand, but yeah, them having 7 and an XG close to 1, or essentially 1, is better than they were doing last time, so maybe this might have to be tweaked going forward. It doesn't seem to be working too well at the moment, but the main thing is avoiding defeat here, and hopefully Auxerre don't pick up the 3 points either, although I imagine they will. We'll head into the second half, and hopefully it's a bit better. Well, I say that straight away, it's one of their highlights. They have the ball on the left here, they chuck it in the box. Mendy does win the header, but never looked like going in. But apparently the commentary seems to think otherwise. I think I might make an early sub here. Although we do have a corner, hopefully we can chuck our heads on this. It is cleared, but hopefully we pick up the loose ball, which Koulibaly does. We try and get it out wide again and get another ball in the box. Perhaps Pite take it on himself. His cross is blocked, and he does find Court heading down the left now. There's a lot of space to move into. I've got a big fear they're going to score here. Yeah, that's way too open at the back post, and Bamu's on it. It's not currently been good enough. I think I will make a change here. Cornette is not performing. So we'll have to move. No one really fits the bill for this. Go value. Hopefully that can do something. Because apparently we're in a highlight here, but I don't imagine it will lead to anything. Just something that usually happens off the back of subs. We do get the ball in, and perhaps we could have scored, to be honest. Chance in the 6-yard box, really, you think you probably should be taking. We don't. Now they have another corner. So we'll whip in now. And I don't know what Fofana's doing, and Mendy has scored. To put them 2-0 to the good, this is going a lot worse than it did literally about 10 minutes ago. The big shame. This is what I'm saying. This is the funny thing about Football Manager. You think exactly the same tactics, exactly the same stipulations, literally done 10 minutes apart, and you can get results that differ this largely. It's quite crazy, but it's my fault pretty much for not putting the bloody sound on the recording, so I am paying the price for that. Tiare is really struggling, which is of course rare. It's just not been good all round. Again, what is similar from this game to the last one is I was having issues really with the players you'd usually expect to perform not performing, basically, and that seems to be reoccurring here, where Tiare and Pite and everyone, well, Pite's playing kind of averagely, but midfielders as well are just really not up to much. You shave the post from a free kick there. This is looking like this will be quite an awful result and potentially quite condemning. The only respite here currently is that Auxerre are losing as well. Let's get a chance to throw in a deep free kick, which if we can score from, which we don't, I'd say I'd make one final send, one final push and go like very attacking, but as Auxerre do equalise there, so they will be right behind us, battling for the second automatic spot, as we will lose a lot of ground on Khan as they potentially come forward again here. Courts has been running the show with his dribbling. We'll find Mendy, who's been one of their better goal scorers, although Valencian have taken the lead again, which benefits us. As they try and shot one forward there, Hughes does win it. Straight to their left back. Plays inside the Deminget. And they're just knocking it around for fun here. We have just not turned up today. Our players look knackered. They've just been made to be chasing shadows, essentially, with the way they've been moving it and dribbling. The wild shot from Court is saved. But that will probably be the... I'm hoping it'll be the game, because I know we've lost this. So I just want it over with, basically. Maybe we can get something here. We finally get the ball into Tiare and maybe a highlight of our own. His cross is blocked, and they'll probably come back at us again now. This has just been one big suffering, really. So that is an incredibly poor pass. Pito's just nodded it straight in the air and made nothing of it. And they'll probably bring it forward again. So this has just been a really drab 90 minutes. No one has showed up. At least the one earlier, I think, 1 or 2 players had performed and Tiare had scored. It was actually quite an impressive goal. He literally ran from the halfway line, taking it himself. went past 2 players and scored, but that's of the past and won't count for anything now. As yeah, we are playing this game again because of the lack of sound and making absolutely nothing of it. Even if we score here, it doesn't mean anything at all, really. Pite looks to whip it in. The keeper has that to tip over the bar, but literally what of it? Waiting for that final whistle, which will hopefully come in a second, just so I can be out of this game. If you like the bird whistle there, ref. No, he just wants to. Okay, there we go. So yeah, an awful performance. Supposedly, in the end, we actually had a lot of shots in the second half, and a lot of corners. But from what I saw highlight-wise and what you can see from the ratings here, no one showed up at all, and this is the wrong game and the wrong time to kind of turn out a performance like that. If they call it a bad day in the office, yeah, and I can help but agree. The only benefit I'd say from this time to last time is that because I drew with Khan and Auxerre had won when we last did it, although closer to Khan by quite a few points, I think we're only one behind them. Auxerre are only, I think, 2 behind us. So we have got a bigger gap to them at least. And again, I'd happily take second. Winning the league would be nice, but it's not essential. But yeah, it's still doesn't kind of change the fact that that performance was not good at all. As Khan secured himself a playoff spot, and I'm pretty sure they'll end up with more at this point, looking like they will come out as league winners. And besides, or unless there is some monumental collapse from them, but we now try and move on to the game against Paris and hopefully can make up for such a poor performance there. We do now head into the second game of the episode, which is a must win at this point away to relegation threatened Paris. Is looking like they will either be 19th and automatically relegated or in this relegation playoff spot where I believe they play 3rd place from the league below. Before I go straight to the team selection, let's see if they have it. Well, apparently I can't. Maybe if I go, oh, okay, I'm having a nightmare. Back. Yeah, I've missed the screen when they give you advice, basically. So yeah, we're heading to the team selection. It's probably going to have to be the same. Maybe I'll try and start Abdelli instead. For Bonnet. Did Bonnet play out right? Not really. Not with that role, anyway. He's probably not great as a winger as he's not that quick, but we're just going to try and roll out the same team. I know they didn't perform, but fortunately I haven't got that kind of depth to make a flurry of changes to try and spice things up, so we're just going to have to hope really that things go better this time round. I mean, we're playing a team nowhere near the level of Khan, so hopefully that's quite the influence. Yeah, hopefully this one goes a lot better. An early highlight here. They lump a goal kick forward, it lands the feet of Meras, who instantly finds Pite. Trapped into midfield, it was a good pass, it looked risky initially. And that is a great ball out to Cornette, but the box unfortunately is a bit empty with Tiara playing the ball deep, but he has arrived now. We can try and find him in the box until we find Pite. That is a great header into the top corner, a much needed early goal to kind of settle nerves. It is well worked at the end of the day, straight from their goal kick to kind of knock it around a bit in the centre. Well, initially on the left, move into the centre, chuck a great ball out to Cornetto, I've made him an ice cream. Cornette. It holds up enough for Koulibaly to arrive. A great cross in as Pite pulls off his defender more towards around the 11 yards from goal mark, and a great header to chuck it in the top corner. And we could instantly double this lead as we throw in a corner, although it is cleared, but straight back to Pite. He's got another chance to throw it in there. Set up to find Ursoy in the edge, who moves it to Lecaux. We politely move it around the edge of the box, and Cornetto's thinking here. Not a bad attempt from him, and it is forced a very decent save from the goalie. But early signs are a lot better than the Khan game. I thought the highlight was going to end here, but we do now have it back again with Cornetto. Move through the middle, those CDMs, loving to exchange with each other. That is nice play there as Koulibaly again gets that wide. Can he throw another ball in the box? He can, finds Pite again. This time not so lucky with the header. Still not a bad attempt, and it appears Paris do have a Kante on their team. But the Auxerre again have gone 1-0 down, which is nice for us to see. Hopefully we really can open up a gap between second and third that can help us secure automatic promotion. Well, they have equalised now. The late highlight here, hopefully, is ours, as it seems it might be. Pite again chucking it in there. I don't know this is necessarily what I expected from him. It's not classic Pite play, but I'm all for it at the end of the day. If he wants to keep getting the end of his crosses, again, it's at his feet now. And that's what I more expect from him finding the striker with a simple pass. And Tiara, a great finish into bottom corner. And that's his 30th of the season, which, I mean, says it all, really. We wouldn't be anywhere near where we are, and we wouldn't be in this promotion challenge at all if it wasn't for Jamal Tiara. Funny thing about him, if you do go and look on FIFA, I believe they do give him like 1-star weak foot and 2-star skill moves. So that makes him sound like a very limited footballer, but he seems completely the opposite of that on Football Manager here, as he puts us in a 2-0 lead just before half time. We did unfortunately see there that Auxerre have already taken a 3-2 lead now. And their games have always seemed to be mental recently. Like, every time I look, it's full. It's always like 3-2 and 5 goals in the game. So they're clearly entertaining, but not quite been up to the standard to keep up with us and Khan as well as they'd probably like. But 2-0 lead for us going into half time is much better stuff than the last game. Cal picks up here, heading towards the halfway line, where he moves it inside to his mate Romero. They do love to play little 5-yard passes between them all the time. Meras heads down the left now. Thinking he'd have a great form at the start of the season, which did seem to fall off. I think he did briefly get in the Turkish side. I don't know if he'd still be in it based on form nowadays. There's a point I believe he was 4.5 star. He has now dropped back down to 4. But yeah, it was incredible at one point. Still a very decent player. And of course, first choice left back. He's not really got any competition for that at all. I think Koulibaly's a nice 3-star, but nothing on Maris's 4. But yeah, not quite living up to the first half of the season, really. As they go close there, hitting the side netting. I'll probably have to make a couple subs now. I mean, Pite was on that kind of fitness at the half-time whistle. Like, I don't know if it's something in the role or just the heavy match load he's had recently, but he really doesn't seem to have the legs at the moment to be able to play entire 90 minutes. So I get Aliou on there. Abdelli, who is trying to return to fitness, maybe we also take off for Bonnet. And perhaps look at taking one of the centre midfielders off, although they have both been good. Perhaps I leave him a bit for the moment. Get Fontaine on a bit later, maybe more around the 75th minute. We do have a highlight here with them having a throw in on their left-hand side. They do manage to get in, tackled, a bit ugly as they do get on the end of it, and that's not what we want to see. And Jonathan Petroipa is a name that actually comes back to my head. I believe he is from Burkina Faso, and at one point was actually in the French First Division. And on FIFA, everyone, well, the only reason I know him is he was an absolute pocket rocket. Had like 95 pace or something. Didn't have much technical ability, but he was dangerously quick. And that was back on FIFA where you could use players like him and get away with it, essentially. It was just better times for anyone who played FIFA. But yeah, a bit concerning to have him pull one back, so we might have to make some more late subs here. Cornette is both performing poorly and is quite tired, so I didn't expect to have to throw Fontaine on there in that position, but that is what we'll do. Probably have to leave the centre mids out there now then if we're doing that. Hopefully we can see this game out from here. But they have got him behind here, and I'm hoping this isn't a goal. Fortunately for us, it's straight at Fofana. Again, it did start so nicely. Going 2-0 up and looking to run the show has kind of come back at us, and it is a bit nervy at this point. So we go into added time. And to be fair, as nervy as it was for us, as we do pull out the 2-1 win, and a very important win at that, they equally seem to be nervy for the other two in the promotion battle. As we see, Auxerre did have a goal pegged back late and would have been scared to lose what was, I believe, a 2-goal lead. It was, yeah. And equally, very similar in the Khan game, if I can find it. Where is it there? Another late goal from Nonce, especially to be 10 men. Khan really wouldn't want to throw that away. But they didn't. So the 4-point gap between us and Khan remains, and the 4-point gap between us and Auxerre remains. So not a bad place to be in going into the last 5 games. 4 points into automatic promotion spots. Hopefully, really, that's what I'm looking to retain. If we don't catch Khan, I'm by no means concerned. I just really want to stay ahead of Auxerre. So that was an important win to help us do that. And of course, the next game coming up is Auxerre, which I will play away from video, unfortunately, just because otherwise these videos get very long if I throw them all in. Is he here? Where is the game? Havre here. It is at home, which is a little benefit compared to the Caen game. As much as I started talking up the defence in this time, we've gone and conceded 2 there and 1 in this one. So maybe they need a bit of a kick up the arse again. But yeah, you won't get to see the Auxerre at home, followed by Toulouse away, or Amiens at home, and we will be back for Valenciennes away and Guingamp to close the season. Guingamp have actually snuck up behind Auxerre a little bit, and if we can beat them here, and depending on what happens in their form here, Guingamp could actually overtake them. It won't mean too much. It will only be... No, I don't really know how the playoff works with 3 teams in it there, but perhaps... Yeah, I really don't know, to be fair. I think maybe they all... I haven't got a clue. I'll try and formulate an idea, but I can't even picture for a second how it works. So perhaps we'll see that unfold when it happens. But hopefully we won't be we won't be a part of all that, and we will avoid it and be in an automatic spot ourselves. So hopefully this was less choppy this time. I think I managed to sort that out basically by just having less programs and stuff open, like Google Chrome, whatever. That just seems to overload my laptop essentially and makes things a bit choppy and run a bit slower. So hopefully it's been a bit more clear to view this time. And if you have stuck through all the kind of trials and tribulations of no face cam and post commentary to face cam, but like choppiness because of when I was transferring it onto PlayStation, and now choppiness last episode because of putting too much stress on my laptop. So hopefully we're finally at a point where it's all kind of in order, but the mic quality isn't great. That's because for some reason now the headphone jack slot does not want to work in my laptop, so we are just dealing with desktop audio, so that's not, or the mic in my laptop itself, so that's not ideal, but hopefully it's okay enough. And thanks for putting up with it all essentially, and hopefully we can get promotion in these final games. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.